job.
Oh, thank you.
And we are live. Welcome everybody to episode 1. Excuse me, Stacy. I'm joking. Welcome everybody to episode 184 of Live at the Hive Digital Marketing from the Trenches. I am your host, Dan Nedelko.
I'm Stacy DeSantis.
And I'm April McCall.
Coming at you from 1080p clarity from StreamYard now that we've been upgraded.
Ooh.
Fancy,
nice
fancy.
Fancy, crisp, looking good, Stacy.
Well,
Dan?
if I knew it was that kind of party.
There we go. So today on Live at the Hive Digital Marketing from the Trenches, we are going to talk about when your Facebook ads fail.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
Oh, no.
But we're also going to talk about how to fix it. So that's good. So happy confetti.
Yay.
Yay. So yes, we've been going through various different formats for the live stream and podcast. And so this is part of our new series that is going to talk a little bit more about tactically exactly how you can do things with examples. And hopefully those takeaways you'll find useful in your digital marketing life.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So let's just dive into it. We're going to start out with what's new today.
What's new, Dan?
Oh, Jesus, as if I knew. I don't know. Lots is new. So let's talk a little bit. Which one do we want to do first, guys?
We can go that Instagram launches real ads in all of the regions.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun.
dun. Yeah, I guess Instagram has launched real ads in every single region, so I'm sure some people have seen them, but now everyone will be seeing more of them. Stacey and I were just talking about how reels are a great place for social posting. They have great engagement, and now putting ads in here is just another great place that we can promote the brand. So pretty interesting, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was bound to happen. I'm personally, as a user, not a huge fan of seeing ads on TikTok and on Instagram Reels, because unless they look organic, then okay. But I think that will be the trick when they look overly produced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
and I think
I'm not even watching.
That's actually going to be a topic. What we're going to discuss with Facebook and Instagram advertising too is how you really want to structure your ads in a native way and create really good content and really promote that content, waiting to get to that final conversion where you're making an offer to a specific audience. So yeah, it is interesting. We've been talking about this kind of for the entire year, effectively talking about how Instagram is monetizing. It's turning into really what's becoming far away from its roots as a photo sharing app, but really almost an e-commerce play with shopping carts and checkouts and now reels and different types of media to encourage that. So it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. That's for sure. Moving right along.
Yes,
see here. Let's do your April. This one was one that you wanted to do.
Yeah, I know. We were talking about TikTok replacing YouTube as a top sponsor at VidCon. I think it's pretty cool. It's showing that TikTok is really, not that place for the, your 14-year-old, girls or audience or dancers, so to speak. That it's actually, a real competitor to, the media space. So it's pretty interesting, I found.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things about VidCon is, so they're really courting the creator community very, very heavily. And it's good. I think at the end of the day, and we'll talk a little bit about probably how little YouTube cares about this right at the moment, but that's a different story. It's just good to see diversity, and hopefully in this industry where we have these massive, gigantic, what are effectively monopolies, whether you buy into that legal definition or not. But diversity of platforms, I think, is a healthy thing. And just showing that TikTok is not taking that role lightly. for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things here is YouTube's actually been setting incredible records for revenues. They increased their revenue 46%, which,
amazing.
You know, it's not like you went from $4 to, you know, $6 or $7 or $8. You're talking about billions of dollars in revenue. And so the juggernaut that is YouTube is absolutely not going anywhere. It's the trajectory is the opposite for YouTube. It's taking off as well.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, YouTube is YouTube, but then they also have shorts, right? And they're making it, that will be probably more of a primetime competitor to TikTok ultimately than YouTube itself, I would think, because there is another article that we have, which we can talk about later, but how they're going to be like, they're going to be adjusting it. So, the inventory on YouTube is so huge in terms of music and all the different sound clips that you can get, even way more vast than what TikTok offers. So they're going to give people control on YouTube when they're creating shorts to allow people to use those sound bites or clips or music in their video, which just goes to show they're both supporting creators, but I think that for YouTube being as huge as it is, shorts will just be one piece of the pie to compete against TikTok in a way.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook's a juggernaut. It's multifaceted. Their real competition, effectively, is probably closer to Netflix than it really is to TikTok. But interesting. And again, we're moving into a world of creators away from major media companies and towards individual creators who are coming front and center using all of these platforms that they can use.
So you're saying YouTube is not intimidated one bit?
I definitely don't think so. Susan Wojcicki is crying all the way to her bathtub full of $1,000 bills.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let's see. On that note, we have got YouTube is now adding new control options for shorts remixes. That's what you were just referring to, and testing shorts analytics in the main app.
Exactly. So it's exactly what I was just mentioning. They're looking at ways they can use their massive inventory of content, essentially, and how they can take those pieces and give the control to those creators to use them in such a way, or even if you're a brand. So let's say you have your Home Depot and you have that song clip went really viral for a while there. Maybe you don't want to give creators control over that because you're afraid that they might use it in a slanderous way. Now you would have control.
Well, I think one of the other things that's important about how TikTok has innovated the social side of that is really integrating and accepting licensed music instead of slapping DMCA copyright violations on everybody and demonetizing. Right out of the gates, TikTok came out with, hey, we're licensing all of this music. You can go ahead and use it. You can go ahead and share it. And so hopefully that's going to push YouTube into a better space because they've honestly been atrocious with DMCA and copyright rules. They basically just say, hey, hands off, and you're going to get slapped with these violations. So the shorts analytics is interesting too. And from everything that has been talked about without actually getting the information, YouTube shorts are extremely successful on the platform as well.
Awesome.
Cool. Okay.
Well, they just seem to have all their ducks in a row, don't they?
They sure do. Okay, what else do we got here? One thing I just wanted to pop in that I actually saw earlier in the week from our friends at LinkedIn. It's pretty interesting where LinkedIn is going with all this stuff. But LinkedIn Creators is now a new mode for LinkedIn. If you regularly create and share content, then you can flip your account over to a creator mode, turning creator mode on. And it gives you some additional tools. It'll more prominently display your content. It will give you additional access to hashtags. And I believe that there is a, you can turn on a, I think it's a 30-second video introduction clip that you can turn on your LinkedIn profile to tag yourself as a creator. So, you know, I think especially where this comes in handy is for people, professional services where you're engaging with your skill set. And if you're looking for work, I think going into creator mode would be a really smart move to really personalize your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, I agree. It just kind of gives it a little bit of a facelift too. Like LinkedIn's kind of it's progressing, but I feel like it comparatively to like Facebook, it kind of progresses almost at a snail's pace. Like, so to give more people options to show off their portfolio and their skill set, it really makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah, and definitely. I mean, LinkedIn as a fractional size of obviously Facebook, much more niche in terms of audiences. But, you know, I find when people need LinkedIn, they need it.
Yes, that's very
and
true.
they do turn to it. So it's certainly something to take a look at. All righty. Sorry. I mute myself when I cough, though, so that's a good thing.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. So let's talk about Facebook advertising a little bit.
Okay.
So obviously during the lockdown, Facebook has seen an explosion in terms of engagement and use.
You know, that would have been really perfect to have like an explosion sound effect there.
See, I do have my Stream Deck, which can do all these cool things.
That's awesome.
Fancy pants over there.
Oh, yeah.
Or Stacey, you can do it. Do it for now.
There you go. Stacey's our cinematic sound engineer. So one of the things that we see, and actually we were just kind of talking about it, we see very often Facebook and Google and Microsoft Bing ad accounts that are just in an atrocious state of affairs. And it more often than not, I would say, you know, at least 60 to 70% of the time, the accounts are improperly set up. The campaigns are improperly set up. None of the features are being used. And I think we've all heard this. We've had so many clients say, look, Facebook and Google advertising and online digital just doesn't work. And it's
it's like, you know, I've often said when I'm talking about content development, like let's throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. But when it comes to Facebook ads or Google ads, that's not a time when you want to throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. You want to be really strategic about it, and you want to understand your market and who your customers are and how you can reach them. Like this is when you really need to get into the weeds a bit.
Or even understanding how the platform works, right? So like Dan was saying, sometimes we get accounts, we go in there, you know, the copy may be pretty, you know, on point to what the client may be selling, but none of the features are being utilized properly to kind of help that message go across certain audiences, which I know we'll touch upon in a sec. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, totally. And so what we're going to talk about are the top reasons we see Facebook ads and campaigns failing. The beauty of Facebook, just for anybody that may not be familiar. So yes, there's Google ads and Google is the largest ads platform in the world. But you do have alternatives there, and Facebook comes in very competitively. Also, obviously, the Facebook Instagram combo is extremely powerful. And it comes in at a much lower cost, and you've got different targeting. And we're going to talk a little bit about how important audiences are and what this elimination of what are called third-party audiences and third-party data is going to mean for you as well. So yeah, one of the most important things. One of the most important things, just taking a step back before we get into a technical view, is understanding your audience. And your audience should never be 16 to 65-year-old males and females in North America.
Right.
No. Why not? No, I'm joking.
Everybody can use our product.
Everybody can use our product. Well, yeah, I'm sure we'll get into how that doesn't really work as much as we'd like it to.
Yep, absolutely. So let's just run down the list here. We've got over aggressive retargeting. We've got over targeting, overly broad targeting, the exact opposite. So you got to find a sweet spot. Inconsistent messaging, cold audiences, neutral messaging, lack of use of audiences, and then using manual bidding, which I've seen that insanity happening a few times. There's very limited cases where you should be doing manual bidding on digital ad platforms. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go.
For you.
Okay. So has this ever happened to you where my favorite is when I'm subscribed to a service or I've just purchased something. And then when you visit the other websites that you're just going through or mobile apps and you're seeing ads for the thing that you just purchased. Aggressive retargeting. So if you're not familiar, sorry, go ahead. What was that?
No, actually, I am a victim of that. Just as my mom's birthday yesterday, so I had purchased something from a store, and I now get their ads everywhere, anywhere I am, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. I get the same ad that for something I've already purchased. So
yeah, like I just want McDonald's to know that I'm not going to buy the BTS burger. I'm sorry. Like I'm so sick and tired. Get in my car, I'm on Spotify, BTS burger. I go on Facebook. BTS. I don't want the BTS burger. Like, and it gets annoying, right?
That's dynamite.
Yeah.
Get it?
Butter. That's their latest single. It might be because I'm working at
You're
BTS.
hipping with it. Yeah. Okay, that was a terrible joke, but so you do want to implement remarketing or retargeting, but you want to soften that approach and also give it a bit of time. And then we're going to talk a little bit about this when we get into talking about the funnel. And I know the funnels is a slightly dated approach, that they're non-linear funnels and flywheels and everything else, but expressing things in terms of a funnel, it's more of a framework than a rigid process. But don't overly aggressively retarget. You're going to waste money. Especially if your ad is simply your generic ad that you had at the first step, right? A really great use of retargeting is thanking somebody. So if you have your audiences set up properly, that you can move people through that funnel, and upon purchase, add them to a new audience. Then what you can do is show them some thank you advertising, or give it a couple of days until the product arrives, or if the service is immediate, then you can thank them and use it for a review as well. Like you can be more nuanced about what they should be doing, or offer an upsell, right? You bought this, you might want to try this. But oftentimes retargeting and remarketing is just set up so aggressively and running in a takeover fashion that really what you're doing effectively is you're just blinding your consumer and wasting lots of your money.
Yeah, and you're creating a negative sentiment, and the idea is create value and then nurture them. I really like that idea of retargeting. Like, let's say I bought an office chair. Maybe you could retarget, say, okay, would you like this footstool for 15% off? I may have been looking into office chairs earlier today. I'm just saying, like, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, agreed. And if you already purchased from that, that product or that place from that, then you're already interested in the brand. You already made that purchase. So you don't really need to buy the same thing 10 times. So like Dan was saying, maybe if you liked these, let's say, bed sheets, then you're going to like, maybe the pillowcases, or maybe there's a duvet or something, right? So you want to slowly build that moving forward. Yeah.
Sorry, my phone wasn't muted, and I'm going to my socials to share the.
No problem.
For a BTS song, Dan.
You might be.
I bought the BTS emote in Fortnite, and I find it hilarious. But whatever.
Really? Oh, is it?
These things don't like. I don't know. BTS it angers some people, but it doesn't. They
like
don't
it.
anger me. I mean,
Cool.
Okay.
I liken this music to food. Right. So you've got like healthy salads and cooked steak dinners. Then you've got cotton candy and like a McDonald's burger. Right. BTS is the cotton candy. Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's just fluff. Entertaining fluff. Oh, by the way, I think yesterday it was the 10-year anniversary of Friday by Rebecca Black. Remember that one?
Oh, yes.
gosh.
That was my that's my favorite theme song.
It's Friday.
That poor little girl, 13 years
I
old,
know.
got so much hate for that song, and it was just this
know.
little pop song.
It was for her grandma, apparently. She just made it for her grandma, and it went viral. So even
Yeah.
You
worse.
know whose favorite song that is? Is it Savon's? He
Yes.
often asks me to play it for him on Friday.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it. So let's talk a little bit about solving this problem with aggressive retargeting. Is that you really haven't developed a funnel, and you want to create a customer journey, really, that solves users' problems at various stages through. And what you should have are multi-phased campaigns that have different and unique messaging around that. So the kind of concept that we like to promote is one from Gary Vaynerchuk, but it's just a good analogy, which is, and look, sales 101 is solution-based selling, right? So if you're in sales, you don't sell anything, just try to understand and solve your potential customers' problems, and then you become an asset to them, and rather than a salesperson.
Yeah, consumer-centric.
Yeah.
Not, brand-centric.
Right.
Yeah. So, we're going to talk about how to warm your audience and how to build up these audiences and how to build brand awareness using these techniques. Like that's the
right.
Oh, sorry, Courtney Scott. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like our friend Miss Castle is feeling the heavy weight of time. Oh my God, what are you trying to do to me, Laura? Friday at WLU.
Yes. Good
10 years ago, my friend. 10 years ago, a decade.
Ooh,
staring into the
I'm sure she
existential
appreciates
void
that.
of time.
A decade. I can't believe that.
Court.
Okay. So what we want to do when we're developing out this leads funnel is at the top of the funnel, create engagement style content that's going to be valuable, that's going to engage with people, that's going to help them solve a problem or answer a question. At which point, upon engagement, they will be added to your audiences, and you can have several different objectives on the Facebook advertising platform that we're going to show you. So that what you're doing is this concept of jab, 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 right hook, which is give, give, give. Those are the jabs, right? Help, help, help.
Right.
And then the right hook is that's when you ask, right? That's when you say, hey, would you be interested in purchasing something or signing up or whatever it might be?
Building that relationship.
I think those reels are going to be really challenging though, because it's like they're going in for that right hook ask right away. Like they're going to have to be strategic about that. But yeah, you just can't go up to someone and say, "Will you marry me?" You've got to build that relationship.
Yeah, and I think one of the other important things just about, this world that we live in of TikTok and shorts and reels and everything else, one of the biggest myths that's propagated by creators actually that you'll see on these platforms is that you need to post, here's what you're going to do. You're going to post 6 TikToks, 6 reels, 6 shorts a day, right? Don't listen to that. That's not necessarily the case at all. But I think one of the things that you want to do is strategically look at the formats and the types of content that you're going to use, create that customer journey, and then follow up on that customer journey. Super important. Okay. Next big no-no that we see happening often on Facebook is just this massive audience, right?
Target everybody.
Yeah. Everyone's my customer.
Yeah. And what we don't want to have happen now, actually, this is kind of odd because that I don't know that screenshot actually really addresses that, but overly broad targeting, there's only one instance where overly broad targeting, and we'll talk about this, can work is if you're using the AI to help narrow those audiences in tests and letting Facebook do what Facebook does, because there's a lot happening under the surface there. I'm back. Don't worry. I should be back in a second.
We'll be back.
Okay.
But one of the things is that if you're overly broad and you're pushing your ad out to random people that may not even be interested in any way at all, and we see this all the time. It's just like people in Ontario or people in Canada or people I've seen ones that have been all of the Western Hemisphere, and it's like, you're talking to non-English speaking audiences.
don't be in a
Yes.
rush just to serve an ad. Like, do your due diligence,
Mhm.
understand your customer journey, your personas, create
Demographics.
those lists, and then go through that learning phase with Facebook as well. Like, you just can't please everybody in Canada by serving them one ad. Like, you're going to just be like throwing your money out the window.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Now, this is a fine line, and it involves a nuance, because you do want to be specific. You really want to know your customer. You really got to dig into that and understand what problems you're going to be able to solve at a given point in their micro moments, which we talk about all the time, which are these somewhat random periods of intent that come and go very quickly and are almost always typically driven on a mobile experience. This is a big part of Google's research they've been doing for several years. So you want to understand, and you want to narrow, but it's a double-edged sword here. You can't do it too much and reduce your audience so much. One tip for Facebook, for example, defining an audience is understanding. So let's just say that you're in interior design, right? So your potential audience and your potential customers would like certain HGTV design shows. They may like certain YouTube channel, or not YouTube channels, but Facebook pages and Facebook business pages. They may follow certain Instagram accounts. There are tons of different types of intent that you can get to narrow an audience based on some of those interests, right? So just a couple of tips on that. Next up are cold audiences. So one of my favorite lines is, never sell your core product to a cold audience. You will spend a fortune, and you will probably have extremely low conversion rates unless you are Best Buy or Sony or major brands, which very few of us are. So this is also something that audiences help solve, because as we go through, we're going to actually warm these people up in these audiences by putting out top of funnel engagement style ads and campaigns and boosted content that will put you in front of the put your brand in front of them, so they start to recognize you. And then as they interact, so for example, one of the things that we can do is we can run Facebook video ads, and we can boost content, which is straight up content, right? And we can create audiences based on people that watch 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100% of a video, right? So if you have an audience, create a great social video that's super engaging and entertaining or informative, create that audience based on 100% viewership. You've probably got a pretty good indicator that if you have a 30 to 45 second video, that you've hooked that person's interests, right?
Right.
Exactly. And then keep nurturing those interested people. Like, you need to have that litmus test almost, right? To understand.
Again, just building that relationship, right? Like, just being, just getting yourself out there, like Stacey's saying, and building. They've already watched that piece of that video, so why not then, try to remarket to those audiences? Yeah,
build that. Look at your Facebook ad campaigns and ads as relationship building conversations, as opposed to, I slapped up an ad and said 40% off.
The other one to do is like give someone present like a lead magnet. They fill out if they give you their email address, then they're clearly interested. Now you have an email list that you can load into Facebook. And
well, this is a big part of building first party audiences, and we're going to talk about that a little bit too, because so what's basically happening is Facebook is using a lot of third party data in terms of being able to build audiences. That's going away, and so you're going to have to rely on your first party audience data, which is your data, right? So that's where this becomes critically important in terms of performance, everything else. Another big no-no is if you check your Facebook ads account and you are not using audiences, I'm sorry, but you're doing it wrong. Facebook is 100% built around the notion of these audiences. So you've got your your custom audiences, you've got your lookalike audiences that you can build off of your own custom audiences, and you should be constantly pulling your data into your Facebook ads account and building these audiences based on several different factors, including a lot of stuff that happens on Facebook and Instagram as well. Okay.
Yeah, well, and it also helps you segment that out. Like you might have a look of like audience, which might be for like potential leads that you have, but then you would have your first party data where they were probably further down the funnel. So then you would change the way your content or your ad would look to address the messaging accordingly, right? So you can actually not only by using audiences, you can also right size the content that you're serving to those audiences and then bringing them down the path.
Yeah, knowing your audiences is super important, and tailoring that content to that audience.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And so we've got campaign objectives here up on the screen, and this is just a sample placeholder account. So we've got brand awareness, reach, traffic engagement, app installs, video views. You can do lead gen as well, Facebook messages, and then from a conversion perspective, obviously, but you can determine what a conversion means to you, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a complete sale. That's totally up to you, how you want to define that.
Right.
Okay. Let's get going.
One of those targets that I really like using is engagement too. Like this is a little tip that if you serve an ad and it's based on engagement and people like, love, react to that post, you can then go back in and invite them to the page, and that is another way that you can involve them in the conversation around your business, because now you've invited them to be part, follow your page, and it might increase your follower growth as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that we see all the time as well, and this is the double edge to the double-edged sword kind of concept, especially if you are not in metropolitan areas or you're trying to service somewhere that just doesn't simply have the population density of larger markets. So if you're working in this example here, this is Halifax, Nova Scotia. So if you've ever been to the East Coast, the metropolitan areas are relatively small, and then as soon as you're outside of it, it's population-wise, it's not very dense, right?
A lot of trees.
Yes.
A lot of trees.
This is where I would suggest, if you've got this targeting and a limited geography, is open up your audience. Let the AI run tests and just open it up. Don't pick really, really small, narrow demographics where all of a sudden your reach is going to be like this one here. If you can see that, reaching 169 people in a day is a very small, very low number in general, right?
Yeah.
The symptom of this is if you see that your reach is simply not able to get to a certain number, and you see that in your dashboard, then I would go back. The other thing is one thing that's important is I see people often will simply have a campaign and then update creatives and then keep that campaign going. You need to create new campaigns and new ads and new ad sets to trigger, one, the rebidding process in the auction, and secondly, to start the AI learning process again. Otherwise, it's not learning anymore. It's using previous learnings that may not be applicable to what you're doing right now.
Yeah, you're just spinning your wheels at that point.
Yeah. Okay, so moving right along. And this one isn't so much about Facebook. This is, in the world of marketing and communications, is just inconsistent messaging and a lack of failing to do what we call a message match or follow up on a promise, right? So, one of the things you want to do is definitely ensure that you've got a match of what you're saying in your creative and in your copy. And the single biggest mistake that we see are people running campaigns that lead to their homepage, which will have a completely different message as opposed to a landing page that would have a targeted message.
Yeah, well, and just think of it as the user. Would that not make you go, "Whoa, wait, am I in the right place?" Like you have to keep that messaging, and
then you probably lost them.
Consistent, yeah.
Yeah. So there's also with if you're not using landing pages and you're using a homepage or using just your website, there's a concept in conversion rate optimization called attention deficit ratio. And what that is how many different messages you have and outbound links that are happening on that landing page will distract that user into different areas of your site and potentially just have them fall off completely. So you've now paid good money to bring in possibly a qualified lead, bad message match into a cluttered page that has 7 or 8 different, navigational links, for example. You increase the probability that user is just going to go down some rabbit hole you don't want them to go. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, people don't want to work. They want it to be seamless and easy to use, and they want a memorable experience. They don't want something like, oh well, I was really interested in that, but then they wanted me to fill out this
couldn't
form
find it.
Couldn't find this information, and like, nah.
And by the way, just a shout out to one of our favorite startup partners here. If you're getting married or thinking of getting married, download the Groomsmen app or Bridesmaids app. It's actually really cool. I wish I had it when I got married forever ago. But yeah, just definitely look it up on iOS or on the Play Store. Shout out.
My sister is using it and she loves it. So
yeah,
perfect.
It's a good app. It's really cool. I like your radio voice, Dan. It's good.
I've been working on it for a long time.
It's a good one.
Next problem is neutral messaging, and we'll talk a little bit about what that is. And I might be a little harsh having no value with the example there, but Paige going for the throat on this one. Good job, Paige. I like it. So neutral messaging is just it's you've got to lead people and attract their attention, incite their emotion. And do that with either positive or negative messaging. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Very bland, very dry, lack of CTA. You're not going to get that end result that you want, whatever that goal would be. Okay. So talking about positive or negative sentiment, I've got a couple of really good examples here. One from Barstool Sportsbook. So this is something in the world of online betting. So people are just worried about the fact that they're going to lose, right? So bet with Barstool. If your first bet loses, get an equal free bet up to $1,000. Boom. So that's actually negative sentiment, right? You could lose. You're probably going to lose. What if you lose, right? Like that's what that one little line. Because in the world of sports betting, that's what people are afraid of. Right?
Yes.
Like if you know anybody, and this is lots of people. Everybody that I've ever talked to that plays Proline in Ontario has won money. They claim that they've won money. It's not true. But that's the sentiment, right? Then you have Shopify here. Jason started a 6-figure business with $500. Here's 5 ways he finds business ideas. Positive sentiment that is actually kind of poking at people's fear of starting something. They don't know what to start, right? So these are very strong calls to action, and you can see, like, they're very simple statements. They're not super elaborate, right?
Yeah. Straight to the point.
Yep. Bum, bum, bum. Manual bidding.
What are you doing?
So every year we're besieged with the what's going to happen with artificial intelligence this year, right? And all of a sudden it's like headless robots, running down the street.
Oh yeah.
The reality is you are surrounded by artificial intelligence everywhere, and one of the biggest places that AI comes in is on these social media platforms. And in case you may not be familiar, all of these are auctions. So whenever you start a bidding process, when you launch a campaign, you are now entering into on-the-fly auctions with anybody that's in your space competing against the same similar audiences, right?
Right.
If you lose that bid, you're never going to get the reach. Your campaigns won't show up. You'll see a higher cost as well overall, right? So what you don't want to do, and I know I've talked to these people, I know some media buyers that swear that they are manual bidding geniuses. No. I definitely would not suggest that you do this. You want to do campaign budget optimization. You want to set your targets. You want to give it a good learning window. That yellow is kind of hard to read, but and you want to create several different ad sets that you can test against. Lots and lots of testing.
Yeah,
Okay.
like spend that time in developing your audience. Let the platform do its work.
Yep. And that's what these AI algorithms will do for you as a purchaser on their platform.
Yeah.
Some people say they don't trust it, but once again, I think you have to take this pragmatically and with a grain of salt. It's in Facebook's best interest to have you have successful campaigns, not unsuccessful campaigns, right?
Because they want you to keep spending money on their platform.
Yeah, exactly. So do not fear the automated bidding, but there are lots of different bid strategies that you can have. You can have increased brand awareness, increase the number of visits. You can optimize for conversions. You can optimize for purchases, and you can create these different campaigns and test which ones you should be using. If you really want to go crazy, we've done it before. There's a platform called Ad Espresso that does some crazy split testing for you as well.
Yeah, that program's freaking amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
You know, like it's easy to use. And it's going to help you optimize.
Yeah, we at one point we had something like 40 or 50 different tests running that it had created, and the audiences that it had found that had the highest conversion rates were definitely not the audiences we thought would be interested in it. So, that just goes to show you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, wow. There we go.
Are we actually on time?
Are we on time?
Really?
No.
Oh,
5:03. Not bad. 5:03.
That's pretty close.
Pretty close. All right, folks. Well, that is our dive into the top reasons your Facebook ads might be failing. You definitely... Facebook's business manager is a monster. It's a beast. It keeps changing. They change it like weekly. But using some of these techniques and these tips, if you go in and you start investigating your account, if you're unsure about what's happening, the other thing too is, this goes without saying, so you've got to build your audiences. And in order to build your audiences off of your website, you've got to install your Facebook pixel and make sure that you're building that pixel, create offline conversions and conversion events. And everything that we talked about. And hopefully that will help you sort out your Facebook ad woes, and we'll never, ever hear again, Facebook advertising doesn't work.
And Facebook pixels aren't scary. If you need help, give us a call.
And this from Stacy, who is a techno neophyte. Luddite? Is it insulting to call you a Luddite?
And a calculator.
Yeah. It's my favorite of all time. I think Stacy actually did pull out a calculator in front of a spreadsheet in front of me once. I was like,
this was, I'm being extra diligent. I'm not trusting Excel, and I'm like,
perfect.
Oh my gosh, Stacy.
Oh my God. I just realized I've been advertising Tim Hortons the entire life.
Oh, look at
sponsored, not
from
sponsored.
them.
All right.
Nice.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining us for Live at the Hive, episode 184. Yeah. We will see you next week. Same B time, same B channel.
Yeah. See you guys.
Peace.